Brexit broke
Britain.
Hello, I'm Peter Cook of Reboot Britain. In this series we're doing a Brexit stocktake. In this film we look at the scientific, technological and environmental impacts of Brexit. Please sign up for our YouTube channel and for the other films in this series, which cover economic, social, political and legal matters. As regards my credentials to make this film, I used to be a scientist developing life-saving treatments for diabetes and HIV/AIDS, so I'm well qualified in the field.
Brexit broke
Britain.
Brexit is far from done, as Johnson, Sunak, Truss and Starmer would have you believe, with 63% of people now believing it was a mistake and 86% of young people wishing to rejoin the EU. There was a deliberate intent to ensure we had a boiled frog Brexit, so that people would not notice our sleepwalk into Brexit oblivion. Our frog is probably only at 50 degrees Celsius at the moment, as there's plenty more Brexit carnage to come. People on both sides of the Brexit chasm tell me there's nothing we can do about it. They are wrong. Email me, reboot@brexitrage.com to find out more. We are in the fourth industrial age, where people mine data rather than coal, and they use technology rather than spades as their main tools. There is much controversy about the role of technology in our lives, but one thing is for sure: Darwin always wins. We would do better to make sure that we profit from the harmonious union of man, woman and machine, and this calls on good governance and good government. Our politicians are left wanting in this respect. The recent controversy about AI and machine learning is being seen as a threat by Elon Musk and some other agitators around the world. It is if we don't respond to it. In my Routledge book, Brain-Based Enterprises, I report that 1/3 of jobs may be lost to technology in this decade. Any government that lags behind is set to become a net loser in the AI age. There has never been a more important time for politicians to make good laws, but our Brexit junta is not match fit for this task. Instead, they're deregulating our labour laws to the point that some people will feel like they've returned to slavery and the Middle Ages. As an example of our Brexit enslavement to efficiency over effectiveness, now that farmers have no access to temporary workers from Europe to pick fruit and veg, this makes automation inevitable where practical. This will be a one-way trip. Furthermore, to make farming more economically attractive, our government is relaxing environmental laws governing agrochemicals that will ultimately endanger our food quality, literally costing the earth. Brexit also forces the GM genie out of the bottle, alongside many other hazards to whole food and healthy living. Laws have already been passed to allow gene editing as one step down the slippery slope towards US-style food standards. The Farm Minister, Mark Spencer, recently reneged on the horticulture strategy to protect our farmers and our food. Meanwhile, to ensure that nobody notices the differences, the Brexit fraudsters have tried to dilute food labelling laws, so we have no idea what's in our food, how fresh it is and where it comes from. This so-called Brexit freedom is simply a dirty lie. One of Rishi Sunak's stated benefits of Brexit is that it will allow Britain to become a science superpower. But science is a team sport that knows no boundaries. 55% of UK academic publications resulted from international collaboration in 2018. By infecting scientific collaboration with politics, we are ultimately poorer in terms of innovation and technological breakthroughs. Nature reported that researchers are finding it much harder to access ERC grants, and the Horizon scheme ends in 2027, with some researchers relocating to Europe already to ensure continuity of support. UK government may have extended the deadline for Horizon applications. The EU's Horizon programme will provide €13.5 billion in 2023 to 2024 for European research and innovation, supporting breakthrough solutions for environmental, energy, digital and geopolitical challenges that we all face. In contrast, Brexit Britain will return to a lots chemistry set. With upfront costs of work and study visas for researchers and innovators considering coming to the UK up to 6 times higher than the average across leading science nations, it is no wonder that the brain drain from Brexit Britain will continue, and with it leading science, pharma and tech companies. Rishi Sunak can lie all he wants about superpowers and a Silicon Valley in Brexit Britain, but the unvarnished analytical truth will out. But hey, I guess that Brexiteers can do a weekend course to become surgeons, biomedical scientists, space engineers, astrophysicists and software designers. But it's not just science and tech. One of the lesser known outcomes of Brexit was that Britain and the EU did not reach agreement on the mutual recognition of professional qualifications, due to Johnson's desire to get Brexit done over Christmas, which meant the Brexit deal went largely unscrutinised. This means that accountants, lawyers and other knowledge workers may find their qualifications unrecognised, or at least face additional red tape and costs when trying to work in Europe. Boris Johnson threw these people under a bus, as well as businesses, scientists, technocrats and 68 million citizens. The only good Brexit is a dead Brexit, except nothing less. Please write to me to find out how we proceed. Commercial break. If you find this film helpful, please send us a tip on GoFundMe, Patreon or PayPal. Buy our books and download our music. All of this helps to convert more people to banish Brexit and rejoin the EU. All proceeds go towards our war on Brexit lies. Please also like and subscribe to our EU Tube channel and share this film widely. These films take quite a while to make and we're unfunded compared with the usual suspects. Thank you. In the 1970s, Britain was regarded as the dirty man of Europe. Our EU membership led to clean beaches and other environmental benefits, many of which nobody was aware of, but which are beginning to reveal their ugly heads now. Brexit has almost literally begun to mean Brexit. Whereas Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland have decided to maintain dynamic alignment with EU environmental standards, England seems hell-bent on divergence from such standards, with Jacob Rees-Mogg almost ejaculating in the GB News porter cabin at the thought of trashing 4,000 EU laws which British politicians initiated or helped to craft. Aside from the environmental impacts of such decisions, it will of course impact trade, as goods made in the UK will not be acceptable for sale in other markets. Faced with the choice to manufacture goods to two specifications, there are signs that some manufacturers will judge that the costs and complexities of serving two markets means that they will have to choose shrinkage over growth. So much for Liz Truss's growth strategy then. Brexit exacerbates our sleepwalk into climate catastrophe. Here are 3 reasons why. A bonfire on environmental standards, just so we can say we can make our own laws, will have dramatic impact on climate change. We have already seen that Britain's about to bring back coal mining in a desperate attempt to look self-sufficient. It's not a badge of honour. Burning fossil fuels to make electricity is the biggest source of carbon emissions in Britain. Number 2, lower standards allow for moral hazards. In other words, using low quality, cheaper ingredients for manufacturing, some of which will be less environmentally safe. A hairdresser in Chatham told me that Brexit would give her the freedom to use hair products on her customers that contain carcinogens. It's not something to brag about, babe. More world trade means more carbon footprint. We ought to be getting used to sourcing things as locally as possible. Instead, Brexit reverses this approach. Take a look at the film I made at the end of this piece. How do we want to be remembered reminds us of our relationship with planet Earth and just how much we take that relationship for granted. I believe that planet Earth is now quite angry with us. I could go on about data adequacy, divergence coming over the hill, telecoms, mobile roaming, net neutrality and cyber security post-Brexit, but the laws of YouTube mean it's best I keep this film as brief as possible. So, to sum up, Boris Johnson promised that the Brexit sunlit uplands would make Britain a country where innovation, competition and growth would all thrive thanks to reduced red tape and costs. These have not materialised. All the indicators suggest that this will be the case going forward. In the 4th industrial age, we need to support STEM, that's science, technology, engineering and mathematics, in order to innovate, reach sustainability goals and profit from the age of artificial intelligence responsibly. All the indicators suggest that instead of this, we will plunder science and technology as Brexit cash cows until we drive innovation out of Britain's DNA. Financial support for science looks set to dwindle in the post-Brexit world. Since science is a team sport, we can expect our reputation to decline in the coming decades. All of the above impacts climate change. We entered the EU as the sick man of Europe, and we are leaving as the dirty man of Europe, all so that we can pray at the altar of the false god of Brexit. But hey, there is some room for optimism here at the end. The most recent data shows that 63% of people in Britain think that Brexit was a mistake, and 86% of young people want to rejoin the EU. Our politicians have not caught up with this yet, just like everything else. Help them out by writing to them, sending this film and explaining that Brexit will remain an election issue in 2024. Aside from climate change, which is a global issue, Brexit is the all-consuming socio-economic, political, legal, technological and environmental long-term issue that's holding Britain back. It has so far consumed 4 prime ministers. Brexit will also devour Sunak and Starmer in due course. Populism will eat itself. So think again. They're taking us for fools. Britain is better than this. We must rethink it. Reboot Britain and boot out Brexit, which lies at the heart of this problem.
Brexit broke
Britain.
How do we want to be remembered? There will be a time when we will look back and ask ourselves what we did right now. Right now. What we did right now. Right now. Well, I will not stand aside and watch. I will not be silent while the world is on fire. Will you? Will you? Will you? World leaders are behaving like children. So it falls on us to be the adults in the room. 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 How do we want to be remembered? How do we want to be remembered?